Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds, owner of Mint Mobile, with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
New activation and upfront payment for 3-month plan required. Taxes and fees extra. Additional restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com for full terms.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Selling a little or a lot? Do your thing however you cha-ching with Shopify, the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. Get a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/offer23.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Not only have I been the owner of Mint Mobile for the last few years, I've also been a customer. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities, so do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
New activation and upfront payment for 3-month plan required. Taxes and fees extra. Additional restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com for full terms.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Selling a little or a lot? Do your thing however you cha-ching with Shopify, the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. Get a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/offer23. This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Selling a little or a lot? Do your thing however you cha-ching with Shopify, the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. Get a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/offer23.
'Tis the season to shine with H&M. Discover the holiday collection and find fashionable pieces for your wardrobe or for under the tree. Get inspired and dazzle with this year's glam. From tuxedo styles, bow detailed pieces, impressive prints, and more. From unforgettable looks to unforgettable gifts. With fashion finds to home decor, find it all at H&M. Treat your loved ones and yourself this season. Shop in-store or at hm.com.
There's so many responsibilities. There's so much demanded of us. And people listening might think, if you're not an entrepreneur, you might think, dude, just quit. Like, what are you doing? That sounds horrible. But the reality is, this is the environment we thrive in. Don't get me wrong. Like we said, we're going to screw up our kids in the process. That's not the goal. And, our husbands are going to be upset with us. That's also not the goal. But this dream we have, this I don't want to say it's our purpose, but I know for a fact, without a shadow of a doubt, I was meant to do this. Hey, my name is Veronica Cisneros, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, a mama of 3 girls, and married for 23 years. I am obsessed with helping you navigate through the seasons of marriage, helping couples like you break free from feeling like roommates. I will teach you the secrets to having a healthy marriage by providing tools and tips to help you reconnect in a way that you can't keep your hands off each other, where flirting and kissing is the norm in your household. Setting intentional time to date, get to know and support each other's dreams and goals so that you can grow together without keeping score or judging one another. Where you feel seen and heard even when you disagree. Where arguments end with mutual respect and understanding. Where you work together to build and strengthen your family so no one feels like they're carrying the weight of the family on their own. These are the necessary skills your children need for you to model so that they develop healthy relationships and thrive in life. This is the Empowered and Unapologetic Podcast. Hey ladies, welcome to the Empowered and Unapologetic Podcast. I am your host, Veronica Cisneros. Today's guest is an event planner, stylist, and balloon designer in the Bay Area. She helps clients plan all kinds of celebrations and helps them bring their vision to life. She absolutely loves color, and it completely shows the way she dresses, her house, and for sure, her work. She loves being part of people's celebration and loves bringing joy into people's lives. So please help me by welcoming Myri. Hey, Myri.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So take us through how you knew it was your time to be an entrepreneur. Did it happen overnight or did you find it happening slowly?
I wish it was overnight.
Right? Amen.
I know. I don't believe in the overnight stories too much because I'm in it and it's hard. So yeah, let me take you a little bit back. So I'm originally from Chile. I moved to the U.S. 13 years ago with my husband. We moved to California. And back home, I was an elementary teacher. So I was teaching first and second grade when I moved. And then when I got here, I had to do like the whole teaching license again. And I didn't really want to do that.
Yeah.
So I worked in a preschool for a few years. And then I got pregnant with my daughter. And I am in the Bay Area. And in the Bay Area, prices are a little crazy. So it didn't make a lot of sense for me to work and then leave her with someone while I was working. So I decided to stay home with her. I stayed home with her and then I had my son. So I was, newly 30 with almost 2-year-old and a 6-week-old. And life was hectic because I wasn't sleeping. And so for a little bit, I, was content being at home. And then around when my son turned 3 and my daughter was 5, I was like, okay, I got the little itch. I need to start doing something. But for me, it didn't really make sense to go back to a classroom. For me, it was kind of weird to take care of somebody else's kids while somebody else was taking care of mine, which now I realize that because teaching just wasn't my calling.
Yep.
Like I realize that now in hindsight. But for me, I was like, I still want to be there for my kids. My husband at that point had a really demanding job. So, he was working long hours. So I really wanted to stay home, but also like do something for myself. So at that point, I got together with a friend. I've always been super crafty. So I got together with a friend and we started making this like personalized party favors. They were like not the plastic normal party favor. It was more like, pretend play and sensory bins and stuff like that. And I would just make labels for everyone by hand with like a silhouette machine that my husband got me for my birthday when my daughter turned 1. Yeah. Like, it was like very random. I hadn't opened it in like years. And I was like, oh, I guess now I'll see what this is all about. So I kind of started doing that. And then people were like, well, if, you can do labels, then can you make a banner? And then if you can make a banner, can you make this backdrop?
So how big did it get?
So, well, right now it's very different from when I started. Now I look at my pictures and I never deleted them off Instagram.
Good.
So if anybody wants to go,
don't do it.
If anybody wants to go to Instagram and scroll all the way down, you will see. And I was like, oh my God, how did I ever charge clients for that? But now I just broke 6 figures last year.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Thank you.
Kind of when you're sharing your story right now, I think about like, all of us entrepreneurs and where we started. And I remember when I started, I was literally renting an office from one of my colleagues. I was renting it for $100 a day. And we ended up getting kicked out because they sold the building.
The building.
And all of her furniture, she was moving to a different state. So all of her furniture was gone. And I remember I was like, well, can I still rent this room until like they completely kick us out? And I remember literally my setup. And I'm glad you kept your pictures. I am so glad you kept your pictures because I wish I wish I would have kept mine. I remember my clients came into my office and it was completely bare. And there was 3 lawn chairs. Imagine coming into a therapist's office, 3 lawn chairs. And they came in and they were already my clients first. All of my clients were clients with me for some time, but I remember them coming in and just kind of looking around and going, did your furniture get stolen? And I so badly wanted to say yes, because it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
And so I hear you when you say there is that embarrassing component, because now, with your expertise and your level of skill, you've crafted it in a way that people are able to pay thousands of dollars for your work.
Yeah.
So take me through that journey. So as you're starting, with all entrepreneurs, it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
We all do wish it did.
Right.
Take me through that process with your family and in your marriage. How did you guys adjust, and what road bumps did you have? Because I'm going to tell you right now, even now, with where my practice is, there are still plenty of Willie and I just argued yesterday, and it was a pretty intense argument, right? So take me through, and I'll obviously share as we go, but take me through that. What was that like?
Yeah. So mine was a very slow. I started almost 6 years ago. When I started my other business, it was named something different. And when I changed the name to what it's now, it was actually May of 6 years ago. So it definitely wasn't overnight. So we've had some time to kind of work through it, but definitely a pandemic in the middle of it didn't work. So at the beginning, I would do parties. I partnered with a place a few minutes from me, like a play place. So I would do parties there. So the parties were always 2 hours. So I would go half an hour, put whatever they asked me to, wait at 2 hours, leave. Yeah. Right. So it was okay. It was only 3 hours of my weekend. Done. So my husband would just take the kids to the park while I was doing that. Perfect. Great. But then now it's getting bigger and bigger. So, and then, during the pandemic, I was the one to do everything. My work really went down a bunch. And now things are back with a bang. So yeah. So now it's been a little hard. At the end of 2021, we were flying back home, and on the plane back home, I told my husband, I don't think I can do this by myself anymore. Yeah. So then we said, you know what, let's try to find a nanny. So we found a nanny twice a week, which has helped tremendously.
What was that like for you to admit, I can't do this?
So I feel like for me, I think things through a ton before I say them out loud. So in my head, I had already gone through that okay, I cannot do everything. Yeah. And I'm showing my kids, and this is the hard part, I think, for moms, because mom guilt is real.
So big.
I decided a long time ago that I was not gonna feel guilty. Okay. I go to visit my brother in New York once a year, and I decide once I get on that plane, I'm not gonna feel guilty about it. I decided that when I'm working, I'm not going to feel guilty because my kids are with their father. They're doing quality time with him. So I decide not to feel guilty. And then my daughter I come back from a party, and she's like, oh my gosh, show me everything. All the pictures, all the videos. So I can see how I'm doing something good for them too, showing them that you actually work for your money, that work doesn't look abstract like my husband's does. Like my husband, works at a computer all day. My kids don't know what he does. So I'm teaching them other ways. So letting go with that, it wasn't that hard because I still, pick him up from school 3 days a week. I'm still take him to all dentist appointments and doctor's appointments and all their after school activities. And then in the weekend, they're with my husband. So I never felt really bad about it. But yes, I mulled over it a lot in my head before I was ready to say, all right, something's got to give. So we did the nanny thing. And then at some point, my husband got a promotion. And the first thing he said is, we are getting our cleaners twice a week instead of once a week. It has helped me so much. So now with that support system that I have between my husband, my nanny, and our cleaners, my home life is a lot easier. Then we also realize that time is money. So now we don't cook everything from scratch. We let go of that idea that, our kids need everything to be super duper-ish and perfect and healthy and all that. And we just, get some things done. My daughter has learned a little bit how to cook. She's 10, almost 11 now. Sometimes I'm like, you can make, your brother's mac and cheese because I have to work late tonight or things like that. I think for us, it has shifted a little bit more that last year I got a studio. So I started working outside of my home, which has been amazing because imagine a party planner with a balloon business, how many stuff I had in my house was insane. At some point we were sleeping with like balloons in my bedroom. It was crazy. Insane. So on one hand, it's been great. But on the other hand, it's like, if I have to do anything late at night, then I have to be there. Right. So that has shifted a little bit. And it's been a lot of talking my kids through it and using our calendar. Literally everything is on our calendar now. Every little party that I have, every little thing that my husband has, everything's on the calendar. If not, it's not going to happen. So it's been, we're still through it because I'm still, sometimes I stretch myself too thin because I have repeat clients that call me. I mean,
tell me more about that.
It's really hard. It's really hard in my industry. It's really hard because if you say no to a client, first of all, you're saying no to like money right away, right?
Yeah.
And you can potentially be saying no to a really good client. Yeah. You don't know if that client then is going to end up doing 15 parties with you, right? I had my biggest client and great, they're amazing. And they literally came in for me for balloons. They had $1,000 budget. That was their, and I was like, great. Okay. And then they're like, oh, what else do you offer? And I'm like, oh, I actually offer full planning. Amazing. Oh my God. They did 10 parties with me in 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Paying my full rate for all of them, plus balloons. So I've made a lot of money from those clients. They've been amazing to me and Sunbeam to all of their friends. Imagine if I had said no to that client at the beginning.
Exactly.
So I come in through a lot with that mindset. I also come with the mindset that when I decide to take a weekend off or go on vacation or anything, it's no, and that's it. And I will just try to let it go. It's really hard because I swear every time I take a weekend off, I get so many inquiries for that weekend. I'm like, oh man, is it going to be really worth it? Right. But it's hard to say no to clients, and I am learning to not stretch myself too thin. And the good thing is with higher paying clients comes a lot more money to be able to hire help. So now most of the time I make my clients pay for that help. So I'm not losing money on that end either. Yeah. But it's hard because I also don't want to cater only to like millionaires. Right. No. So it's hard to put it together. Now my amazing nanny is also now working as my assistant in my business in the mornings. So she is kind of like my jack of all trades. As we speak right now, she's returning some things from Amazon from me, counting some balloons that I need to blow up this weekend. Yeah. So I realized at some point, I'm still working on it, that especially in this industry, you do need some help, and that paying someone else will make me at some point more money. And, but I'm not going to lie, it's hard. And I am, this interview came at the time where I'm really burnt out. I had a really, really hard client. And then I had a few, hard weeks at work, and I'm really burnt out. So I am going to take some time off this summer. Good. So I decided that this summer is going to be only either for full planning, it's only going to be repeat clients, or just like balloons that I can do fast. I'm really fast at doing balloons at this point. So that I can do fast, but my kids are growing up, and, my daughter's already giving me the eye rolls and stuff. And I want to be with them while they're growing up. Well, they still want to hang out with me. So, it's been hard. And like I said, I think about it a lot in my head before like saying it out loud. So once I say it out loud, I already made that decision in my head, which I feel like makes it easier in some way.
Well, I can understand it makes it easier, but how does it, so although you've had that made up in your mind, your husband might not be 1,000% on board with it. Like, tell me more about that.
So here's the thing, and I'm going to sound so snob right now.
No, girl, let's just do it.
I don't really need to work. Let's just be real. I'm not the breadwinner in this family. We don't live in the house that we live in because of my salary.
Mm-hmm.
I get nice things because of my salary. We get to like travel and do some other things, but it's not a necessity. If I decide to stop working right now, nothing really is going to happen to our family. More than I'll be bored and probably everybody's going to be miserable because I'm going to be bored, right? But money-wise, we're going to be fine. So I think he's always happy when I take a little bit of a step back and when I kind of like look at things. Because when you take a step back too, you can see things clearly, right? And you can see, okay, this is what's worth it. This is what's not worth it right now, and what is going to be my game plan. So I'm not, thinking that this summer is going to be just leisure in the pool, going with my kids to the park. I'm just going to also be thinking about, okay, what is my game plan for, the end of the year and for the next year? What do I really want to say yes to? What do I really want to market? What do I really want to show myself as? So I think he's happy for that. Sometimes he's actually like, when I say, I accepted a last minute thing, he's like, oh my God, did you really why? And I'm like, well, it's over $2,000. So so I think he's happy that I'm taking a slight step back. Now, for good and for worse, I do have an overhead, which is my studio, which in the Bay Area is not cheap. Yeah. And I started my studio knowing that I had enough money in the bank account, that if anything happened to me, I was fine for at least I actually had surgery at the end of last year on my wrist. So I couldn't work for a month. I couldn't do balloons for a month. So it worked that I knew that was there. But yeah, definitely all of this is definitely a work in progress. I think also Instagram, social media gives us this idea that everybody says, oh my God, your job is so fun. And let me tell you, it's fun. It's fun to from what I had in my head to see it in person. It's fun, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work going back and forth with my clients. It's a lot of work to make sure that every little detail, everything that we talked about is there. It's a lot of work on the day off. I work 12 to 13 hours standing up and without a break, because for my full planning clients, I stay throughout the party. I still stay myself because I am a little controlling. I can't let go of some things.
Yeah. Well, so how does that impact you overall?
Yeah. So overall, I'm a lot more tired than I was before. And sometimes I'm like, is this because I'm getting older, or this is because I'm working a lot more? So it's I really need to pace myself with some stuff. So now I don't, there are some weekends that I did 4 full planning parties, and that is oh my God, so much. So now I don't do that. Now I pace myself, and also I work out. Working out for me is super important. I actually went to hot yoga before this interview this morning.
Good. Take me through the pain. What is that like? So you're working 12 hours a day. Yeah. By the end of the day, you're tired, and you're still a mom. Yeah. You're still a wife. Yeah. Take me through the pain. What is that pain like?
So on days that I work for 12 to 13 hours, I talk to my kids a lot beforehand, and I say, hey, I'm going to see you in the morning, and then I'm not going to see you when you go to bed.
How disappointed are they? Well, how disappointed are they?
So they've learned. My kids are very go with the flow at this point.
You mentioned your daughter was eye rolling. Tell me. So.
Oh my God, yes. My daughter is. My son doesn't care as much. He detaches a little bit easier than my daughter does. So we have a few things with my daughter. We now every night we write on a journal.
Myri.
Yeah.
Myri, I'm trying to get to the pain. You won't take me there.
Okay. Here's one thing about me. Okay. I don't dwell on the hard things.
You're telling me that.
I know. I don't dwell. I normally in my whole life, I don't dwell on the hard things. I just like to be how I got over that, because that's how I work usually. I'm I don't want to say my life is rainbows and butterflies, because it's not. It's hard, but I try to make it easier for everyone. So yeah, I talk to her. We have this little thing. We know we write on this journal and go back and forth. So she'll leave it in the kitchen.
You're taking me to what how great it is,
Yes.
which I get. And this
Right.
podcast is totally
Okay.
focused on like, although
Hard it is.
well, we want to go ahead and look at both.
Yeah.
You know?
No, totally. I totally understand. So it's hard. I'm not going to lie. I have missed pretty much every baseball game that my son has.
Why won't you go there? Why won't you go there when we talk
Yeah.
about
So I
it?
pretty much missed every one of my kids' baseball games and soccer games. And I sometimes will go for a second and then say, hey, but I talk to them beforehand, and it's hard. And it's hard for them, especially on weekends that I work.
What is that like? So I'm gonna challenge you. What is that like? What is that like? Because you're telling me,
yes,
I missed all of my kids' games, but I mean it's okay because we totally talk about it, and it's like I know it's not okay, and I know it's not okay because I've done that too. I have missed,
right?
You know, I've been late for certain things. Tell me what that's like for you.
So in my head, it's more my kids care about the little things more than they do. You just said being late. So the last 2 days, I've had to call my son's school and say, can you please ask him to walk home? We live only 3 blocks from home, from the school. So and then the first day that they said it, my son was like, absolutely not. He told the secretary, like, absolutely not. I'm not walking home. And she's like, you walk to school every day by yourself. And he's like, I don't want to walk. And she was like, sorry, dude, you have to walk. And he told me he wasn't happy with me. And I said, I'm so sorry. I needed to do these things. And he kind of we are a very go with the flow family. So I feel like he got over it. Maybe he didn't. The next day I was late again. So I called the school and I said, hey, can you give him the option of either waiting 15 minutes for me or walking home from school? I know he doesn't like working from home from school. So he waited 15 minutes and he was all like, you make me wait. And I'm like, look, and I went through everything and this is how it happened. And my daughter has said that I work too much. So I say, I agree.
Myri, this is exactly why I'm recording this podcast. And I'm creating a series because we do go into believing the lie we tell ourselves. Our kids are okay. Yeah. It's not a big deal. And we stay there. And right now, I want to make sure that the listeners are able to relate with you, and they can with, okay, so I'm late. You know, it's not a big deal. I get it. But take me through what that's like to hear your son say that he doesn't want to walk home from school, but he has to walk home from school because you have work to do. Your daughter says you work too much. Right. And obviously you're contributing, to the family. You're telling me the kids don't matter or that they don't mind, but I'm going to tell you right now, they do totally mind.
They do, but they also understand, because they can see the final product, I can tell them exactly what I was doing. So I will walk them through what I was doing and say, look, I really wanted to be there. I just couldn't do it. And this is what's happening. And then I try to make it up on other things. So we have some things with my daughter and we have some things with my son that we do to kind of, get through that stage. But there are a lot of growing pains and it's not easy. And I would, and again, because we're go with the flow family and I'm kind of always look at the positive side of things. I always try to look at the positive.
I know looking for the right therapist can be challenging. However, feeling overwhelmed and disconnected is even harder. Life is filled with several twists and turns, some more severe than others. We do our best to handle them as they come and find ourselves at a loss, not knowing what to do or who to turn to. The clinicians here at Outside the Norm Counseling are here to help. We are here to assist you through this time of need. Together, we will identify your strengths and goals and teach you healthy coping skills. Together, we will develop a plan to help you live the life you want to live. Our team is compassionate, genuine, and we take a great deal of pride in providing an empathetic, non-judgmental approach to all of our clients. It's time. You've waited long enough, whether it be for you, your child, or if you're in need of a couple session. We are highly trained clinicians ready to guide you. Schedule an appointment now by calling 951-395-3288. Again, that number is 951-395-3288. We're looking forward to meeting you and being a part of your journey.
So we needed to take a little bit of a break. And I'm not going to go into crazy detail of why we needed to take a break. Being a mom.
But Veronica made me cry now.
Maybe a little bit, or a lot of it. So being a mom, now you got me fucking crying. Being a mom is so hard. Being a wife is so hard. Being an entrepreneur is ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
And there's not any way we can explain it to our kids. I mean, to be honest, Willie and I just told you, Willie and I got in a big argument yesterday, like a really big argument. And one thing that I had shared with him is, I really wish you knew what being an entrepreneur means.
Yeah.
Like, you tell me you get it, but I don't think you get it.
Yeah, I tell my husband that all the time because he works for a company, an amazing company. But I tell him, like, you don't know what having your own business is like, because saying no to a client, for you saying no to something at work, they'll pay you anyway. For me, saying no to a client means that I won't get paid for whatever they ask me to, or might not get opportunities in the future. This might be a one-time client. It might be a 10-time client. Like, we don't know. So yeah, I mean, definitely, that part is definitely hard, where it feels very lonely to have a business. It feels very lonely, especially when you don't have a business partner or anyone you can rely on. So it feels very lonely, and you have to, even when you have people working for you, you're still the head. And I'm the head of the business, and I'm the face of the business. I'm on Instagram and on all of it. I'm the head. So everybody wants me. Everybody wants. Nobody wants a party by someone else. They want me because they hired me. So yeah, I mean, it's hard. Sometimes I get home and I am very, very tired, and I am just go the F to sleep because I just cannot deal with anything else today. And the dog is like trying to get my attention, and the kids are trying to get my attention, and the husband's trying to get my attention, and I'm like, everyone right now, right? So, and then also it's like, I think in this society also, we have this thing, it's like moms need to work, but also need to be moms, but also need to take care of themselves, look young, and like do all the things, do it gracefully and with a smile on their face. And yeah, I mean, it gets lonely. And even, I have an amazing group of friends that we talk about all this. And if you haven't tried it with your friends, there's like Marco Polo. I'm like, oh my God, this guy is like the worst. Which, it kind of makes it a little easier. But yeah, I mean, it's hard. And some days I don't see my kids for like a whole weekend, and it gets old. And especially when I have that like hard client and you're like, F you, I really want to go and be at home with my kids watching a movie right now. It gets really hard.
That right there, that like hit home. There have been times where, I mean, I remember I used to work like 46, 56 hours. I was working at the hospital, and I was also building up my business. And I remember being in session with one of my clients, and it was a teenager, and this was early on, and she was like starting to go to sleep. And I remember looking and thinking, why am I here? Why am I here? My daughter just told me I work too much. My husband told me that I'm not home enough. And here I am giving my time, sacrificing my time with my kids to be here with you. And you're not even willing to go out and do the work. And it's just like, and I'm like literally giving it my all. You're not even willing to do the work. What am I doing? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And then I had another client, and it was just like, and I remember like, there were times where I would just cry, but I would put it together. And then I'd come home tired, excited to see them, but also kind of the same thing. Like, dude, everybody just be quiet. I don't even care how your day was.
Right.
Like, I just want to go to sleep. Like literally just let me go to sleep.
And
there's this thing, like the dichotomy of like, I really want to see you right now. I've been away from home for, whatever, 10 hours and I really want to see you right now, but I also want you to shut up and like not bother me.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then you feel like shit because I'm like, well, I've been thinking about being with my kids all day, but then I also feel bad that I'm like, go to sleep. So it is hard. I have a really good support system, which is key. I live in an amazing street with, my neighbors take care of my kids all the time. But yeah, I mean, how many things I miss because of working on a weekend. It's just like, I miss birthdays. I miss baseball games, soccer games. So I try to make it up, put it on the week or early mornings or stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like it's not easy.
It's not.
I like to believe that I'm doing it for my kids and doing it to teach them that you have to work hard for what you want.
Yeah.
Needed or not needed. I'm working because I feel fulfilled.
Yep.
I swear after my hard client last month, I told my husband, maybe I was content being a stay-at-home mom. Maybe I would go back to being a stay-at-home mom. We literally had this conversation. I was like, what if I just, say, fuck it. And he was like, you're going to be bored out of your mind, right? I'm like, doesn't really matter. Like,
well, I mean, it goes back and forth because like we love what we do. We love what we do. We love everything about what we do.
Yeah.
And at what freaking sacrifice? I love that you pointed out we have to be, we have to look healthy. We have to look thin. We got to look good. We got to be on top of things. We got to get to all of the appointments. We got to do all of these things. There's so much on our plate, and there's so much judgment. Holy shit, there's so much judgment, right? Mm-hmm. So much judgment, and keep it together because you're running a business. Keep it together because you're, I know for me, a lot of the clinicians that work for me, they're the primary breadwinners. So it's like you got to figure this shit out, and you got to figure it out within this time slot. Because if you don't figure it out in this time slot, well, your kids are going to hate you. You're going to be at your limit with your husband. Your marriage is going to fail. Your kids are going to struggle with mental health issues. And it's like all of that weighing on us. And so in the beginning of our podcast, prior to our break, it was kind of like, we want to believe the lie. We want to believe that everything's okay. We want to believe that our kids are going to be fine. Like, it's not that big of a deal. They already know. And I'll make up for it with extra cuddle time, or I'll make up with it. I've said that to myself. I'll make up for it by making sure that I do a family day, and I'm going to be 1,000% present. I'm not going to be on social media. I'm just going to be in it. But it's like, well, shit, I do have to be on social media because I do got to go ahead and show them that we're this happy family. You know what I mean? And we have it all together. But the reality is, like, my kid is pissed off at me because once again, they're on social media and mom's working again. And it's like, when I don't want to say when does this end, but like, when does the feeling of feeling guilty and trying to have some form of peace, like, when does that start?
So I decided to let go of some stuff. Like,
you have to.
I don't read my kids' school emails anymore. Okay, I'm sorry if anybody from the school.
No, girl, I don't even listen. So I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to interrupt you right now. One of my friends sent me a snapshot of an email, because I don't check that shit either. Okay, so with sisters right here, sent me a snapshot of the email, and it was an email with a picture of my kid. She was like, and I'm like, oh yeah, I totally seen that. Oh my God, thank you for pointing out. Girl, I didn't see it, and it was 2 weeks ago. It was a 2-week-old email. I hear you.
First of all, you need a full-time job just to read school emails.
Exactly. I don't have time for that.
Like, it's ridiculous. So now my husband is the one to read the emails, and he's the one to put our anything that we need to go to school for in our calendar. Yeah. That also means that I have missed a few things. Yeah. Which, at some point I have to. Yeah. My friends were like, "You're not going to this. You're not going," and I'm like, "Look, I don't read the emails. Yeah. If you want me to go to something, you text me the link to buy tickets and I will buy them." Yeah. So literally now my friends are doing exactly that. They are literally sending me the link to the ticket to buy the ticket, and I'm going to be there. Like,
Done. Just give it to me. Where are we going?
Just tell me how much and I'm good to go. Like that's all.
Yeah,
Listen,
exactly.
tell me your Venmo, pay for it. You already know what
Right?
this looks like. Yeah. That
I
right
know.
there is real. And nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about this. And then we're stuck in our offices or in our businesses wondering, okay, how am I going to make it up to my family again? And that's like, not only is it a lonely feeling, but it feels so freaking like, I don't know about you, but like, it feels defeating.
Sometimes I'm like, come home and I'm like, oh man, this day just kicked my ass.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything.
No.
Like, this is like, feels terrible. And I am the very fake it till you make it. Like, I might be on Instagram on my pajamas and my bad hair.
Yeah.
But I also fake it till I make it, putting on a dress. This is my armor, okay? I put on a dress. I wear, you'll see me when the weather starts getting warm. I'm on a dress every day.
Hell
and everybody's like, oh my God, you're so put together. No,
girl.
This is like
no,
wearing
girl.
the
I just
yoga
lost my
pants
shit 5 minutes ago on my kid. So.
This is like the yoga pants of looking good. You just put in a dress. I don't have to think about anything. And everybody thinks I have my shit together, which I don't. And when I had kids, I said, my kids are going to be traumatized by something. Okay.
It's going to happen.
Like if you're a mom, you need to start your base is that your children are going to be traumatized. Okay.
Listen, it's not the goal. It obviously is not the goal. However, we're not going to get it right every single time.
And here's the thing. I'm one of 5, okay? We all have our own little traumas, and they're very different from each other.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I had a really good childhood. My parents were great, but we all have different traumas. And then one time I remember I was reading this like mom's blog or mom's
something.
And somebody said, what are your traumas from when you were a kid? And holy shit, these traumas people have. I'm like, oh my God, my kids are traumatized like times a million because they were like, I overheard my mom say to my aunt that I didn't have a future in singing, so I never sang again in my life. I was like, shit, we cannot win. We're never going to win.
I just told my daughter that last week.
Right? Like, I'm like, let's be honest. I'm not going to my kid's baseball game, but also it's not in his future. Like he's not going to be the futurist baseball. So like, I'm reading this and I'm like, okay, my kids are screwed anyway. So how do I do it so they're not as screwed? Like they're still good people, like that's all of our goal. Like I want my kids to be good people and healthy members of society. But also like I start thinking my kids are going to be traumatized with something. It might be that they are traumatized that their mom never worked and she was a stay-at-home mom. Or there might be that my mom owned her own business and worked a ton. You cannot win either way. And once you learn that you cannot that you cannot win either way is when you start letting go of stuff. So
bingo. That right there. Right there. Listen, I love right now, Myri, that you were just able to open up and we try to have it all together. And it's not that we're trying to come across as perfect, but we're like literally spinning all of these freaking plates, all of these plates. We're spinning all of these plates. And it's trying to go ahead and make sense of like how I can be an entrepreneur, how I can be a wife, how I can be a mom. Okay, well, I missed this one. Son of a bitch. Okay, yeah, I missed that one too. And I have other moms. Did you check the email? Your daughter's on the email 3 weeks ago. And it's like, totally checked it. And there's so many responsibilities. There's so much demanded of us. And people listening might think, if you're not an entrepreneur, you might think, dude, just quit. Like, what are you doing? That sounds horrible. Right. But the reality is like, this is the environment we thrive in. Don't get me wrong. Like we said, we're going to screw up our kids in the process. That's not the goal. And, our husbands are going to be upset with us. That's also not the goal. But this dream we have, this, I don't want to say it's our purpose, but like, I know for a fact, without a shadow of a doubt, I was meant to do this. And you're creative with colors and, all party planning. I am extremely creative when it comes to therapy. I'm extremely creative when a couple or a woman is sitting right across from me. I am so creative. And that's right there. That's like my high. I don't want to say it's like all of my joy, but that right there, there's no way in hell I'm letting go of that shit. There's not a chance in hell. And trying to manage all the things at the same time and having a community, which I want to get to right now. The whole reason for me doing this podcast, this podcast series is because I've noticed there's so many women struggling, high achieving women struggling with the same exact thing. How the hell do I maintain being married while being an entrepreneur? How do I maintain being a mom, a present mom? How do I do that? And the minute I feel that. I told you, me and Willie had a really hardcore, like literally a hardcore conversation. And he told me, I don't want to compete with your career anymore. And it was just like, oh shit, like he means business. This isn't one of those conversations where I could totally say, okay, no problem. I'll work less. And then it goes away. Like, no, this is like my husband telling me, I miss you. And we don't spend that much time together. And it's like, well, the dates every Tuesday is not enough. Okay, got it. And this is not enough. Shit, got it. Okay, so I have to be creative. And it's like, I already feel like I'm spread so thin. Don't take this away from me. Yeah. But I don't also want to see. I also don't want to, and I'm thankful that you were willing to open up, because I told her, I'm gonna tell you guys right now. I told her I was like, we're gonna stop this podcast because I kind of went into a mini therapy session with her. not a therapy, but just we kind of went there a little bit, and none of us want to talk about this. None of us want to talk about this. And I gotta say, I commend you, and I already had a high level of respect for you starting, but like, I admire the fact that you're willing to go there and say, listen, I have to think everything's positive, because if I don't, and I take those glasses off, then I'm gonna look at the truth. And there's sometimes I'm not ready for that. So let me just put on my goddamn dress, Veronica, and just twirl.
And also it's like, in a twisted way, when we're talking about how hard it is, in a twisted way, we're also doing this for our kids.
Yes.
I am doing it to teach them that, you work hard for something that you like. And also, let's not talk about the dream that if you like what you do, you're not going to work a day in your life. That is not true. If you like what you do, you want to work harder for what you want.
Yes.
And there's going to be things in your work that you're not going to like. Oh, believe me, I have a meeting with my accountant next week. I do not enjoy that.
Nope. No, I had a meeting with my tax guy, and he just said, listen, it's as low as it's going to go. Sign this, send the check, and be done with it. And I'm like, oh, shit.
I'm like, do I like to make money, right? Like, do I like to make money? I absolutely like to make money. Do I like to make clients happy? Do I like to make colorful parties and have beautiful pictures on Instagram? I love it. I also love teaching my kids that you really work hard for things that you love. So, sure, do I not have everything together? Do I not read emails from school?
Probably not.
Or have my shit together? I don't, but I, in a twisted way, we are doing this for our kids. And maybe people that, are not entrepreneurs, they won't understand why we're doing it. Just get a normal job that you can leave at 5 and not think about it. I'm like, I wish I could, but also I enjoy being able to take a morning off and go hiking with a friend, or go and, take my kids to a dentist at 1 p.m. on a Wednesday, Yeah. So
it's give and take. It's
all balance at some point, and it's hard. And it's also, there's tremendous wins, there's tremendous fails. There's wins with your kids. My daughter made her own first balloon garland a few weeks ago. She was so proud. She was so proud of herself. So I can see that at some point she'll work with me and learn how to work hard and learn how to be, one thing that I say for my assistants, I want productivity, and I'm teaching that to my kids, and my kids will learn it from me. My kids will work for me and know that this is what I expected.
Bingo.
I expected someone else will. So
Bingo.
You better
I'm going to teach you. Yeah. I'm going to teach you. Like my kids are the same way. My daughter, she wants to be, she's 20 now, but she wants to be a fashion designer, and she wants to be, and it's like, okay, well, if you want to be a fashion designer, more than likely you're going to have your own business, so right now work for people who have their own business. And I feel, again, we're not doing this perfectly. None of us are going to do this perfectly, but I feel like my daughter knows exactly, just by working with me and seeing, what I do. I know for a damn fact she knows what hard work looks like. And I want my kids to know, if you have a dream, Aubrey wants to be an attorney. Brooklyn wants to be an engineer. Awesome. These are high demanding jobs. So if that's what you want to do, work your ass off and perfect it. Don't do a half-ass job.
Yeah.
Work your ass off. Take pride in what you do. That right there, I might be late. I might not be checking emails. Shit, I might not even know at times whose teacher you have. Okay.
Oh, right.
Like
Gosh,
80 of them, right? And yes, I did not read the goddamn homework assignment. And yes, she did fail that math test because I don't know how to do fractions to save my life. Right. So yes, that does happen. And maybe I don't know about that project that was due yesterday, but you know what? We'll do it tonight. Okay. Yeah. We'll do it tonight. And the end goal is I don't want to lose myself in being a mom. I don't want to lose myself in being a wife. I want to thrive. But maybe the idea everybody else has about balance, maybe the idea everybody else has about a healthy home is not in line with what my home looks like. And that might be okay, right?
Yeah, letting go with other people's ideas of you is really, really, really important. I had to let go of a lot of that at the beginning of my business, and it was hard. I'm not going to lie. It was hard because I knew these people expected me to be something different. Yep. And newsflash, I'm just not. And you better get used to it. And
this is what it looks like.
You know, and at points, that's been my husband too. I'm like, look, you married this person and we got married really young. I was 22 when we got married. So my 22-year-old self is not the same as my 38-year-old self. No. So like, we need to like learn that things change and shift. And so it's a work in progress. And it's, you know, this is what's going to happen, and life is messy, and at some points it's great, and sometimes I get great joy from things that my kids did, and sometimes I get great joy about, you know, my work, and sometimes days are shit and I don't get any joy, and that is okay.
So Myri, like I mentioned, I'm recording this series for high achieving women, and I'm trying to figure out, what do they need from me? My goal is, I was told by several of them, they want a retreat, for us to go away on a retreat so we can have these hard conversations, right? And we don't feel alone in it. What would you want? So what would you want me to create to serve you?
That's a really good question. A retreat sounds great. Sometimes I don't get to sit and think about stuff like that because I'm go. And I'm like, I'm going to be honest, like online things just don't like really work for me because I'm like, forget about them. I also have ADHD, if you haven't noticed. So, I love stuff like that. And stuff like that just doesn't work for me. But retreat where like, I feel like where people, like a space where people can be themselves, and where, I can just go and be like, look, I screamed at my child. Last night, and nobody's going to look at me weird because, I mean, everybody, like, I do have friends that I can say that with too, but there's really a little piece of that judgment.
Girl, you could call my ass up and I'm like, yep, I said that to my kid 2 weeks ago or last night, or I'm about to say it right now. You just beat me.
Right? I know. I really am missing like a group of like entrepreneurs that are not talking about work because listen, I don't want to know how you made $200,000. Like, great for you. Thank you. But I just, but I just don't need that. I need someone to be like, today was shit. I hate my life. And having a fucking business is hard. Okay.
Yes.
It's hard. Yes. And I would love a group of people that understand that part, because people are like, oh, but you have flexibility. You have this, but girl. Owning your own business is hard. Owning your own, being an entrepreneur is hard. And this idea on Instagram that everybody's talking about how amazing it is, and look how what they did. It is hard. It is lonely. There are some days that you're not going to be happy. There are some going to be months that you're going to be rethinking your whole life and being like, why am I doing this again? And the next month will be amazing. And you'll be like, oh, this is why I was doing this. So I just, I would love like a group of people that I can just go and be like,
This is what it looks like. Mm-hmm.
This is what it looks like. And I might be on a high right now, and this is amazing. And sometimes I'm like, oh man, I didn't make any money this month, and my kids are mad at me, and my husband's mad at me.
This is so awesome. Cool. I'm living the life.
Right?
I'm living the life.
I'm living my dream.
Right? So tell me one thing. I want to go ahead and make sure we wrap up. I want to respect your time. Tell me one thing you are most proud of yourself for.
Oh, that's hard. I'm going to be honest, and I'm not proud of myself a lot. I tend to be that kind of person that is like, cool, did that, done.
Yep, done,
next.
check, let's
go. I tend to, lately, I've been really proud of myself for doing some of these parties that people don't understand. When they go to parties, there's a lot of details involved.
There's so much.
This past weekend, I was really proud of that party. Oh my God, I was really proud. But that just
you light
together,
up. You light up.
Oh my God. Last weekend, that party, if anybody's listening to this, the April 29th party that I just put it with the Taylor Swift April 29th audio yesterday was freaking amazing and hard to put together. And I just see it, and it's like, how did I get to this point? Like, that's when I try to, like, I go see these pictures and everything, and I'm like, wow, like what happened in between? Sometimes I feel like I blacked out and I'm here, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, how did I go from making that shitty balloon garland that I am embarrassed to look at right now to this like huge thing, beautiful. And I'm like, I am really proud of like what I've learned, what I've done, what I've like become, and that, you know, and that 6 figures is like such an arbitrary
matter
number.
We're gonna be proud of that. But you made something out of nothing. You made something out of nothing, and you like are now able to start to employ other people like that. And you're right. A lot of us don't stop and celebrate. It's just a check in the box. What's next? So I got to say, Myri, I am proud of you for also doing this podcast episode with me. Because I'm going to tell you, I was like, she's crying. I
know. She was you were being hard on myself. You were like, let's take a breather another day. I'm like, no, I'm going to get this done.
Like, no. Well, because it's like, I know it's hard talking about this. I know it's not easy, you know? And so it was like, I want you to take it further. And I didn't know if you were willing. And, you know, then emotions started coming out. And it was like, when you said, I'm ready to go, I obviously want to respect your privacy, you know? And it was like, all right, she's saying she's ready to go. Let's freaking go. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you right now, this podcast episode is amazing for that rawness, that vulnerability. So thank you so much. So how can we find you? For those that are like, hell yeah, she needs to be my party planner, I'm going to fly her ass over here.
My Instagram. So my business name is Fun and Confetti. My Instagram is at Fun and Confetti. I am mostly on Instagram. My website is funandconfetti.com. So I'm mostly on Instagram, and you will find me there. You will see me in my PJs. You will see me in my hair up. Yep. You will see me laugh with my friends and a lot of like cool party stuff. So you'll see myself there. And I don't post a ton, but I'm on stories almost every day.
There we go.
Just sharing a bunch of like real life stuff. So
thank you so much for taking the time meeting with me and just being on this podcast. And you had a crazy week, and I'm glad we met. This is truly a blessing.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for letting me take all this out. Now, after a little crying session, I'm going energized to blow up 60 feet of balloons for tomorrow. So.
There we go. All right.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Right, you too.
Let's be honest. We can all use a little help in our marriage, especially when it comes to communicating. I have created a guide just for you. 5 things that are killing your marriage, tips from a therapist. Find out if you are making these marriage mistakes. Ladies, this guide is 100% free. I will give you practical tips and easy to use strategies to apply right away. You all know I'm a huge advocate for couples. I am on a mission to help you and your partner experience stress-free living. With this free guide, we are setting our marriages up for success. But it starts with you. You will find this free guide here in the show notes or go to www.veronicacisneros.org. The information I will be providing you is next level, and people pay good money to get these tips that I will be giving you for free. Don't forget to share this with a friend. What's up, ladies? Just want to let you guys know that your ratings and reviews for this podcast are greatly appreciated. If you love this podcast, please go to iTunes right now, write a review, rate the episode, and subscribe. Don't forget to share it with your friends.
I know we've been taught that motherhood requires alcohol. I know we've been taught not to question our relationship with alcohol until we've lost everything. And I know we've been taught that if we do dare to examine our relationship with alcohol, we need to head straight to AA and declare ourselves an alcoholic who is powerless to alcohol forever. But what if all that isn't true? That's definitely not my story. I'm Suzanne, the host of the Sober Mom Life podcast. I'm an influencer who stopped drinking in January 2020, and since then, I've been telling the truth about motherhood, influencing, alcohol, and sobriety. If you suspect deep down that glass or 3 of wine at night might just be making motherhood harder, well, you're right. Come and join me as I chat with other sober and sober-curious moms. Let's laugh, cry, and normalize sobriety together, all while we reheat our coffee for the 4th time today.
Hey there, this is Casey McGuire Davidson, host of the Hello Someday podcast. I'm an ex-red wine girl turned life coach who helps busy women change their relationship with alcohol. I spent 20 years climbing the corporate ladder while drinking a bottle of wine a night to unwind. In the Hello Someday podcast, my goal is to teach you the tried and true secrets of creating and living a life you don't want to escape from. Each week, I'll bring you tools, lessons, and conversations to help you drink less and live more. I'll teach you how to navigate our drinking-obsessed culture without a buzz and how to turn the decision to stop drinking from your worst-case scenario to the best decision of your life. You can find new episodes of the Hello Someday podcast every Thursday, wherever you listen, and I hope you check it out.
I know we've been taught that motherhood requires alcohol. I know we've been taught not to question our relationship with alcohol until we've lost everything. And I know we've been taught that if we do dare to examine our relationship with alcohol, we need to head straight to AA and declare ourselves an alcoholic who is powerless to alcohol forever. But what if all that isn't true? That's definitely not my story. I'm Suzanne, the host of the Sober Mom Life podcast. I'm an influencer who stopped drinking in January 2020, and since then, I've been telling the truth about motherhood, influencing, alcohol, and sobriety. If you suspect deep down that glass or 3 of wine at night might just be making motherhood harder, well, you're right. Come and join me as I chat with other sober and sober-curious moms. Let's laugh, cry, and normalize sobriety together, all while we reheat our coffee for the 4th time today. I know we've been taught that motherhood requires alcohol. I know we've been taught not to question our relationship with alcohol until we've lost everything. And I know we've been taught that if we do dare to examine our relationship with alcohol, we need to head straight to AA and declare ourselves an alcoholic who is powerless to alcohol forever. But what if all that isn't true? That's definitely not my story. I'm Suzanne, the host of the Sober Mom Life podcast. I'm an influencer who stopped drinking in January 2020, and since then, I've been telling the truth about motherhood, influencing, alcohol, and sobriety. If you suspect deep down that glass or 3 of wine at night might just be making motherhood harder, well, you're right. Come and join me as I chat with other sober and sober-curious moms. Let's laugh, cry, and normalize sobriety together, all while we reheat our coffee for the 4th time today.
It's easy to blame ourselves for our struggles with alcohol. We see people around us being able to control their drinking without any consequences, yet no matter what we try, we can't seem to figure it out for ourselves. My name is Jillian Teets, and I am the host of the Sober Powered podcast, where I use my biochemistry background to explain the latest research in addiction and help you understand both why you drink the way you do and how to develop the skills and mindset you need to find freedom from alcohol. I discuss topics like why we think about our drinking 24/7, why we have no off switch, and why we crave alcohol. If you're struggling with your drinking or you know someone who is, then I hope that you will check out the Sober Powered podcast. New episodes every Friday. See you there.
Addiction impacts all of us. Addiction's consequences run through all of us. From ourselves to our loved ones and through our communities, addiction creates so much loss and grief. My name is Dwayne Osterlin, and I'm the host of the Addicted Mind podcast, a show featuring personal stories, expert guests, and vital information about addiction and addiction recovery. We'll talk with leading treatment providers to discuss the latest research and treatment options for this devastating disease and advocate for mental health awareness. We discuss topics like the importance of creating a community of support to helping loved ones to some of the latest research on psychedelic medicines. The Addicted Mind podcast has been about creating hope, listening to stories of many amazing people that have overcome addiction and are thriving. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, subscribe to the Addicted Mind podcast wherever you get your podcasts or check out theaddictedmind.com. New episodes every Monday. See you there.
I know we've been taught that motherhood requires alcohol. I know we've been taught not to question our relationship with alcohol until we've lost everything. And I know we've been taught that if we do dare to examine our relationship with alcohol, we need to head straight to AA and declare ourselves an alcoholic who is powerless to alcohol forever. But what if all that isn't true? That's definitely not my story. I'm Suzanne, the host of the Sober Mom Life podcast. I'm an influencer who stopped drinking in January 2020, and since then, I've been telling the truth about motherhood, influencing, alcohol, and sobriety. If you suspect deep down that glass or 3 of wine at night might just be making motherhood harder, well, you're right. Come and join me as I chat with other sober and sober-curious moms. Let's laugh, cry, and normalize sobriety together, all while we reheat our coffee for the 4th time today.